I've been secretly married to the CEO for 6 years, and in all that time, he has never been willing to let our son call him Dad, after he missed our son's birthday yet again for his new female secretary. I finally presented him with the divorce papers and left with my son for good. The man who was always so composed lost control, storming into the office like a madman, demanding to know where I had gone. But this time, neither our son nor I would ever look back. Mr. Evans, I'll be going abroad for further studies next month. This is my resignation letter. My manager looked at me, surprised. Why so sudden? I gave him the excuse I had prepared long ago. My son's father is in Australia. I plan to take our son there so we can be a family. The manager nodded. That's good. It must be incredibly hard for you, raising a child alone in this country. We all thought you were a single mother. I smiled. I wasn't before, but I would be soon. As I walked out, I ran straight into Adrian Hayes and Jessica Thorne coming my way. Adrian was my boss, and more importantly, the father of my child. 7 years ago, I was his personal assistant. A chaotic night of drunkenness resulted in our son. This was the 6th year of our secret marriage, and the 6th year he refused to let our son call him Dad. Adrian walked slowly, as if deliberately matching the pace of the woman beside him. Jessica held a report in one hand and clutched the hem of Adrian's suit jacket with the other, a picture of sweetness that stung my eyes. As we passed each other, my heart skipped a beat. I couldn't stop myself from speaking. Adrian. The man stopped, his expression icy. MS. Lynn. The polite, distant address was a clear warning, a reminder. This is the office. We are nothing more than superior and subordinate. I understood his unspoken message and reined in my emotions. Mr. Hayes. Adrian grunted in acknowledgement and continued walking as if he had just passed a stranger. I gave a self-deprecating smile and swallowed the news of my resignation that I had intended to share. He wouldn't care anyway. My phone screen lit up. It was a message from my son's smartwatch. Mommy, will Daddy come home for my birthday? I froze for a moment and instinctively looked back. I saw Adrian leaning in, speaking softly to Jessica. When someone walked by, he instinctively pulled her into his arms. His eyes filled with an unconcealable tenderness, suppressing the bitterness in my heart. I sent Adrian a message. It's our son's birthday today. Will you be free tonight? Across the hallway, I saw Adrian pick up his phone, glance at it for less than 3 seconds, and put it down again, his expression unchanged, staring at the unanswered chat window. I laughed at myself. Isabella, when are you going to wake up? You've always known his heart was cold. What were you still expecting? I put my phone back in my pocket, took a deep breath, and walked away. Adrian, you'll be free soon. After leaving the office, I went straight to the kindergarten to pick up my son. The first thing he said when he saw me was, Mommy, today is my birthday. The second thing was, Mommy, will Daddy celebrate with me? On the crowded street, my eyes instantly welled up. Your father. Before I could finish, my phone chimed. Adrian had finally found the time to reply. I'm free. Coming home. A wave of joy washed over me, and I nodded almost desperately. Don't worry, Leo. Daddy will be home. My son clapped his hands and threw himself into my arms. In 6 years of marriage, this was the first time Adrian was willing to celebrate our son's birthday. That evening, I cooked a feast, and our son, Leo, finished his homework early. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours passed. I sent message after message, but just like always, there was no reply. Leo seemed to understand. He looked at me cautiously. Mommy, is Daddy too busy? A sharp pain pierced my heart. I wanted to explain, but I couldn't form a single excuse. In the end, all I could say was, it's okay. Mommy will always be with you. Leo didn't ask again. He obediently picked up his birthday hat. Mommy, can you put it on for me? I nodded. As I reached for it, my eyes caught a new post on Jessica's social media. Today was a good day. I really liked today. The accompanying picture was of a gourmet meal at a high-end restaurant, though no faces were shown. I noticed the corner of a wedding ring, accidentally captured in the top right. It was the one Adrian and I had specially chosen for our wedding, except he only ever wore it on the little finger of his left hand, because wearing it there signified that he was single. How ironic. The ring that symbolized our marriage was Adrian's symbol of being unattached. On our son's 6th birthday, he was having a candlelight dinner with his lover. All my bitterness melted into a calm resolve. I liked the post and put down my phone. I turned and placed the birthday hat on my son's head. Happy birthday, Leo. In the candlelight, my son closed his eyes and clasped his hands together. My birthday wish is to be with mommy forever. I picked up my phone and captured the moment. The thought of leaving, which had been a seedling, had now grown into a towering tree. Okay, mommy promises. That night, neither of us mentioned Adrian again, as if our family had always consisted of just 2 people. After Leo fell asleep, I took out the divorce papers I had prepared in advance. The last trace of hesitation vanished. At 2 in the morning, Adrian finally came home. Seeing the cake on the table, a flicker of remorse crossed his eyes. Sorry, I forgot. I found it laughable. All those reminders on his phone. Did he really not see them? Or was he so lost in his new romance that he could forget everything? I took out the divorce papers, flipped to the last page, and handed them to him, feigning composure. Sign this. Before I could finish, Adrian's phone rang. Jessica's slightly panicked voice came through. Mr. Hayes, I think my power is out. Can you come keep me company? I'm so scared. Adrian immediately stood up, his eyes filled with urgency. Wait for me. I'm coming right now. After hanging up, he signed the document without even looking at it. I stepped aside and quietly watched him leave. Adrian, you must always remember this. You were the one who chose to abandon this family. The next day, I returned to the office to hand over my work. Adrian sought me out and handed me a beautifully wrapped gift box. Leo's birthday present. I forgot to give it to him yesterday. I paused for a second, then took the gift and opened it. It was a toy dog. The very thing my son was most afraid of. When Leo was 5, Adrian took him to an amusement park. He ran into a friend and, in the middle of their conversation, let go of Leo's hand. Our young son got lost in the crowd. By the time we found him, he was crouched by the side of the road, trembling in terror, scared by a stray dog. From that day on, dogs became Leo's worst nightmare, and the culprit was now giving him one as a gift. I couldn't tell if I was more angry or disappointed. I casually set the box aside. Thank you, I said, my voice flat. Adrian gave me a strange look, then remembered something else. Jessica's power is out. I was thinking of letting her stay at our place. Don't come to work today. Go home, pack some things, and take Leo to stay somewhere else for a couple of days. His casual words struck my heart like a sledgehammer. I looked at him in disbelief. Are you saying you're kicking me and our son out for Jessica? Adrian frowned. Don't make it sound so ugly. It's only temporary. Since we agreed to a secret marriage, we naturally have to avoid suspicion among colleagues. I laughed, the irony biting. Were they really just colleagues? Was he really just trying to avoid suspicion? Or did he feel that our son and I were an inconvenient, shameful secret that hindered his pursuit of love? Not wanting to look at him anymore, I sat back at my desk and resumed my work. I understand. I'll pack our things and leave with our son as soon as possible. We won't disturb you, since we were leaving anyway. A day sooner or later made no difference. My quick agreement seemed to startle Adrian. He stood there for a moment, his mouth slightly open, his tone softened. A rare occurrence. I'll make it up to you. I didn't look up. I just remained silent. The damage was done. No amount of compensation could cover it up. When I got home, I packed our bags and was heading out with Leo when I ran into Adrian, who was returning with someone else. He was pushing Jessica's suitcase with one hand, the picture of a doting boyfriend. The moment our eyes met, I clearly saw a flash of panic in his. Jessica gasped in surprise. MS. Lynn, what are you doing at Mr. Hayes's house? At her words, my first instinct was to pull Leo behind me, shielding him from her view. They're my relatives. Just staying here for a while. I had barely started to speak when Adrian cut me off, his hand on the suitcase tightening. It wasn't the first time, but it still pierced my heart every time I heard it. I was about to speak, but my son spoke first. Hello, sir. I turned my head in disbelief and saw only my son's slightly reddened eyes. Mommy, let's go. All my words caught in my throat. I managed a weak smile and whispered, okay. As we passed, Adrian grabbed my arm. He looked at me, incredulous. What did he call me? I smiled, finding it all so ironic. Isn't this what you always wanted, Mr. Hayes? In 6 years of secret marriage, Adrian hadn't just kept our relationship hidden. He had never even allowed our son to call him Dad. The only difference was, before, he had forced our son to call him Sir. Now, our son was choosing to draw the line himself. I looked down and tried to pull my arm away, but his grip was too strong. Adrian looked at me, his eyes a mixture of complex emotions. Give me a few days. I'll explain things to Leo. I reminded him. Jessica is waiting for you. Let go. Adrian seemed to snap back to reality and reluctantly released his grip. I let out a small, bitter laugh and took my son's hand to leave. But Adrian suddenly called out, "Wait." He ran back to his car and returned with a cake box. "Leo, happy birthday." Jessica chimed in at the perfect moment. "Mr. Hayes originally bought this cake for me. But what a coincidence that it's your son's birthday. MS. Lynn, please don't mind." The cake in my hands suddenly felt as if it weighed a ton. I was about to hand it back, but then I saw the surprise in my son's eyes. My heart softened, and I stopped. Leo didn't understand the adult tensions. He just looked at Adrian with anticipation. "Can you eat it with me?" Adrian only hesitated for a moment before agreeing. Leo cheered and ran into the living room, urging me to open the cake. I patted his head and quickly portioned it out. But the smile on my face froze the instant the cake touched my lips. "Spit it out. You can't eat that." I snatched the cake from my son's hand, my voice frantic. Adrian's face instantly darkened. "Isabella, have you lost your mind?" I looked up, my eyes red. "Leo is allergic to mangoes. Didn't you know?" At my words, panic quickly washed over Adrian's face. "I'm sorry. I didn't know." "Sorry again." From the day our son was born, I had heard, "I'm sorry," countless times. Leo, realizing what had happened, stared blankly at Adrian, all anticipation gone from his eyes. "It's okay. It's normal that they don't know." After saying this, Leo buried his face in my embrace and refused to look at Adrian again. Without further hesitation, I stood up and carried my son out. Even as we left the villa, I could still feel Adrian's apologetic, panicked gaze on us. But this time, neither my son nor I would be moved. After leaving the house, I went straight to the company and quickly packed up my desk. I had originally wanted to say a proper goodbye, but now it seemed unnecessary. Placing the signed divorce agreement on the desk, I let out a long sigh of relief. With our luggage in hand, I took my son to the airport. Before we boarded, I asked him, "Will you be angry with Mommy for taking you away?" He shook his head and pressed his face against mine. "I only want Mommy." The tears finally broke through. All the pain of the past years transformed into a sense of release. I took out my phone and blocked Adrian on all platforms. "Adrian, we will never see each other again." The next day, Adrian arrived at the company on time. He had been on edge ever since yesterday's events. He opened his email, and an approved request popped up. Resignation application. Seeing the large characters on the screen, Adrian felt a sudden sense of dread. Just as he was about to open it, Jessica swayed into the office. "Mr. Hayes, here is last week's report." She placed the file on his desk and familiarly walked around to his side, placing a hand on his shoulder. Before, this was their unspoken intimacy. Now, Adrian suddenly felt uncomfortable. He sat up straight and opened the file, his brow furrowing after just one page. The entire page, aside from the formatting, was basically wrong. Even the department name was misspelled. Slamming the file on the desk, Adrian's voice was cold. "Who prepared this report? Do they have any basic competency? Get Mr. Evans in here. What kind of people is his HR department hiring?" Jessica's face paled. "Mr. Hayes, I did it." All his anger was instantly extinguished. Adrian looked at Jessica, who seemed on the verge of tears, and for the first time, felt a sense of helplessness. Jessica's eyes were red as she looked at him, her voice fragile. "Mr. Hayes, do you think I'm stupid?" She wiped away a tear, a stubborn, damsel in distress look on her face. "If you really think I'm stupid, then I'll just leave. You can hire a smarter, more capable assistant." She turned as if to walk out. Adrian instinctively stopped her, but when he met her pitiful gaze, He froze. Isabella would never look like that. She was proud. No matter what she encountered, she would try to solve it herself. Not like Jessica. If Isabella were still here. His hand, which had been reaching out, slowly clenched into a fist. Adrian was startled by his own sudden thought. Almost in a panic, he released Jessica's arm, rubbed his temples, and said wearily, "You can go." Jessica tried to speak again. "Mr. Hayes." Out. Adrian's patience was gone, his tone turning cold. Jessica bit her lip and finally left, unwillingly. After she was gone, Adrian sat back down at his desk, staring at the flawed report. His mind flooded with memories. 7 years ago, I was a rookie, with no work experience and no outstanding academic background. I didn't stand out among the other excellent candidates, but I was the only one who passed the probation period. Back then, I had drive and a willingness to work hard. If I didn't know how to do a report, I would shamelessly beg the senior staff to teach me. If I didn't understand a workflow, I carried a notebook everywhere to take notes. No matter the time, whenever he needed something, I would appear in the shortest time possible with the best solution. Even at business gatherings, I could quickly memorize everyone's identity and key characteristics. Back then, the thing I said most often was, "Mr. Hayes, I will definitely do better next time." If being an assistant was a graded job, I was undoubtedly a perfect score. Adrian remembered how everyone used to envy him for having a golden assistant whenever he brought me along. But all of that was destroyed that night. After that one absurd night, everything changed. To this day, Adrian didn't understand why I would debase myself, scheming to climb into his bed. He only knew that when he woke up that morning and found me lying next to him, all his admiration had turned to disgust. The more he had admired me before, the more he loathed me after. So even though he had to marry me because of the child, he still couldn't bring himself to treat me well. He even deliberately found Jessica, my complete opposite, as a form of rebellion against his married life. But now, thinking of Jessica's increasingly outrageous behavior, Adrian suddenly felt a sense of weariness. The image of my son and me leaving, our backs so resolute, flashed in his mind. Adrian's heart beat fast. Perhaps he should stop his childish behavior. Perhaps, after so many years, I had changed. Perhaps. At 6 in the evening, Adrian took Jessica to a dinner party hosted by a partner company. He hadn't seen me all day, and he felt distracted as he held his wine glass. Was I too harsh this time? The thought suddenly surfaced in his mind. Adrian pursed his lips and drained his glass. He took out his phone, about to message me, but was interrupted by a business partner. "Mr. Hayes." About the last proposal. Adrian snapped back to the present, pushing all other thoughts aside and shifting into work mode. As they were talking animatedly, a jarring voice cut in. "Mr. Hayes, this dessert is so delicious." Jessica held a chocolate cupcake, her eyes filled with a worldly innocence. The conversation was interrupted, and everyone's expression soured. But Jessica, oblivious, squeezed in front of Adrian and held the chocolate cupcake to his mouth. Caught off guard, Adrian got chocolate and cream all over his face. Jessica gasped and quickly reached out to wipe it off. Adrian flinched back a large step, as if recoiling from a monster. "That's enough." Jessica froze, tears welling up in her eyes. "Mr. Hayes, what's wrong? You weren't like this before." Adrian took a deep breath. He wanted to speak, but caught the strange looks from his business partners. Seeing him look over, Mr. Peterson gave an awkward smile. "Mr. Hayes, you seem busy. We can discuss the proposal another time." The others quickly agreed. Yes, you're busy. We'll talk next time." And with that, they all quickly left. Adrian had no reason to stop them, and was too embarrassed to try. A perfectly good business negotiation had been turned into a humiliating spectacle by Jessica. Adrian couldn't even imagine what kind of gossip would spread through the industry after this. And he was right. After Mr. Peterson and the others left, they found a quiet corner to gossip about him. TSK. "Do you think Mr. Hayes has some kind of special preference?" Mr. Peterson, a man in his 50s, couldn't help but start. Another executive, Mr. Davies, clicked his tongue. "Maybe that's what young people are into these days." Mr. Peterson shook his head, still not understanding. I still think his old assistant, Isabella, was better, smart, capable, and most importantly, she knew how to read a room. I don't know why Ms. Lin wouldn't leave his company. I tried to poach her several times, but she never budged. Mr. Davies just smiled and didn't comment. The truth was, he had tried to poach me too. Meanwhile, Adrian stared at Jessica, his chest heaving with anger. Jessica, look what you've done. Jessica's eyes were red, as if she had been deeply wronged. Mr. Hayes, what did I do? I just wanted to share with you. What did I do wrong? She grew more upset as she spoke, even starting to sob. The commotion attracted the attention of others, who cast curious glances their way. Adrian was trapped. No matter how angry he was, he couldn't unleash it in front of everyone. He gritted his teeth and forced the anger down. You did nothing wrong. I was wrong. Adrian closed his eyes, his grip on his wine glass so tight it threatened to shatter. Jessica blinked, thinking he was no longer angry. She quickly wiped her tears and threw herself into his arms. Oh, Mr. Hayes, you're the best. Adrian's gaze was distant. He regretted, 1,000 times over, choosing a fool like Jessica as his act of rebellion. Worried that Jessica would continue to cause trouble, Adrian avoided any further conversations for the rest of the evening. When people approached him, he exchanged only brief pleasantries. He spent the remaining time sitting on a sofa in the corner, drinking glass after glass of wine. He finally endured until the end of the banquet, said his goodbyes to the host, and fled. By the time he got home, the alcohol had fully hit him. Adrian held his head, swaying as he pushed open the door. Isabella, get me some water. The words hung in the silent room. Adrian looked up at the dark hall and finally remembered. My son and I had left yesterday. He turned on the lights and went to the kitchen. He took a can of soda from the fridge, and as he closed the door, he noticed that it was covered in stickers of all sizes, mostly cartoon characters that kids liked. Looking at these drawings that he usually found childish, Adrian let out a soft laugh. He could almost see Leo tiptoeing into his study. He would be holding a children's book, carefully approaching Adrian and saying, "Daddy, can you read with me?" And what had he said? Adrian paused mid-drink, his eyes dark. He had said, "I'm busy. I don't have time." The thought brought a wave of inexplicable frustration. He took out his phone, unable to resist sending me a message. "Send me your address. I'll pick you up tomorrow." He typed it out, then felt it was wrong and rephrased it. "Where are you and Leo staying? I'll come pick you up personally tomorrow." Taking a deep breath, Adrian hit send. But the next second, a glaring red symbol appeared. Isabella has enabled friend verification. You are not their friend yet. Please send a friend request. You can chat only after they have accepted. Cling. The soda can hit the floor. Adrian's brow furrowed. He frantically opened the work group chat. Nothing. She wasn't there. He scrolled through the group of hundreds of employees again and again, but my profile picture was nowhere to be found. Did she leave the group? No. Impossible. Isabella didn't resign. Why would she leave the main work chat? Adrian laughed, but it sounded forced. Remembering the unread resignation email from that morning, the panic in his heart became overwhelming. After only a second of hesitation, he called the HR manager. "Hello." The voice on the other end was noisy, like a family watching TV. Adrian could even hear a child's cheerful voice. "Daddy, the cartoon is starting." Mr. Evans excused himself and found a quieter place. "Hello, Mr. Hayes. Is there something you need?" The man's deep voice jolted Adrian from his daze. "It's nothing. I was just wondering why I can't find Isabella in the work group." Mr. Evans paused, then said quickly, "Ms. Lin resigned." "When?" Adrian shouted, nearly losing his balance. Mr. Evans quickly explained. "The day before yesterday. In the morning, Ms. Lin submitted her resignation letter. She said her husband was posted in Australia, and she wanted to take her son to reunite with their family and pursue further studies. Ms. Lin was very firm, so I processed it according to procedure. Didn't you know, Mr. Hayes?" As Adrian listened, his fist tightened, almost to the point of letting out a derisive laugh. Since when did Isabella have a husband working in Australia? He was about to lose his temper, but then a child's voice came through the phone again. "Daddy, why aren't you watching TV with me?" Mr. Evans's soothing voice followed. Soon, sweetie. Soon. Be a good girl and wait for Daddy to finish his call. Okay. It must be an innate ability of all adults. Their voices instantly soften when speaking to a child. Adrian listened blankly to the sounds from the phone and, once again, uncontrollably thought of Leo. He had a complete family too. It just seemed he had lost it. That night, Adrian sat on the kitchen floor all night. It was the first time he had ever been so wretched. Before, no matter how late he came home, there would be a light left on for him. There would be someone sitting on the sofa, quietly waiting for him. Now, all of it was gone. The vast villa was empty, with only him, alone, waiting for the dawn. The next day, Adrian went straight to the company without even changing his clothes. He pushed open the door to his office. My workstation had already been cleared out. It was glaringly clean. On the desk, a single, thin document lay waiting, like Pandora's box, waiting to be opened. With a trembling hand, he opened it. A line of large characters met his eyes. Due to incompatible personalities, the marital relationship between the two parties has irretrievably broken down, with no possibility of reconciliation. Through mutual consultation, both parties voluntarily agreed to divorce and have reached the following agreement. Male party, Adrian Hayes. Female party, Isabella Lynn. So, you really were planning to leave me? Adrian smiled, but his eyes, against his will, turned red. He had thought about leaving many times, but he never imagined that the one to make the decision first would be me. He never imagined that, somewhere along the way, the one who couldn't leave was actually him. Picking up the divorce agreement, Adrian turned on his heel. He was going to Australia. He was going to find me. He had to demand an explanation. If I was the one who pursued him first, how dare I leave without a single word? The more he thought this, the faster he walked. He stormed out, his face grim, and accidentally bumped into a heavily perfumed woman. Mr. Hayes. Hey, where are you going? You didn't even take me home last night. I had to sleep in a hotel. I'm angry. Jessica blocked his path, pouting. Get out of my way. Adrian had no time for this pretentious woman's games. His voice was ice. Jessica stomped her foot. Mr. Hayes, what did you say? If you keep this up, I'll get really angry. Get out of my way, Adrian repeated, his gaze so cold it could freeze her. Jessica was about to say more, but Adrian simply pushed her aside and left, his voice already on the phone as he walked away. Hello. Find Isabella Lynn's current address for me, and book me a flight to Australia for today. Australia. Today was Leo's first day of school. I woke up early to pack his school bag. Although we had only been in Australia for 2 days, I had been planning this for a long time. 6 months ago, I contacted a friend working here and asked him to help me find a suitable house and school, in preparation for the divorce. At first, I didn't plan to come so soon, but I was used to being prepared. Thinking back, I was grateful for this habit, which saved me from being completely lost. I also had to thank Adrian for having at least a sliver of conscience. He had never been stingy with money during our marriage. After watching Leo get on the school bus, I wrapped my coat tighter around myself and turned to go home. A familiar voice suddenly called out, Isabella. I turned around stiffly. Of course. It was Adrian. He looked much more worn than before. His clothes were wrinkled, and his chin was covered in stubble. But even so, he was still handsome. This was how he had captivated me before. No one knew that I had applied to his company just for him. He was my senior in college, 3 years ahead of me. A fleeting glimpse at the freshman welcome party was all it took for me to lose my heart completely. I didn't have an impressive family background or stunning looks. The only things I had were diligence and intelligence. So, for 4 years of college, I studied, took exams, and did internships with all my might. Only then did I earn the opportunity to interview at his company, Starbright. Only then did I finally have the right to stand before Adrian and tell him my name. It took me 5 years to get to his side, but it only took him one night to destroy all my efforts. Forcing a smile, I tried to maintain the dignity of an adult. I opened the door without looking back. Come in and sit. Adrian's eyes lit up, and he immediately followed me inside. 2 sugars, no milk. I placed a cup of coffee in front of Adrian and sat down on the other sofa. Adrian's voice was a bit hoarse. You still remember I smiled, but didn't reply. Since you came to find me, you must have seen the divorce agreement. I don't want half your assets. I just want custody of Leo. Adrian's breath caught. He looked up at me. Isabella, I don't agree to the divorce. I nodded noncommittally. I had expected this. That's fine. I can wait. A legal separation of 3 years will also work. Adrian slammed his cup down, the heavy thud echoing in the room. Isabella, are you that desperate to leave me? Don't forget, 6 years ago, you were the one who climbed into my bed. A dull pain throbbed in my chest. I looked at him in disbelief, and everything finally clicked into place. Heh, Adrian. So this is what you've thought all these years. No wonder. No wonder you changed so much after that morning. I thought you were just the type to lose interest after you got what you wanted. But it turns out, this is what you've always thought. I was disappointed. But more than that, I was relieved. I lowered my eyes, tracing the rim of my coffee cup. My voice soft. Adrian, did it ever occur to you that I was the victim? Adrian stared at me, stunned. What? I thought back to that night again. That night, Adrian was drunk, and I helped him to the hotel room we had booked. After a simple cleanup, I placed a glass of warm water on the nightstand and was about to leave. But Adrian suddenly grabbed my hand and pulled me forcefully onto the bed. That night, I struggled. I screamed. But it was useless. I had been in love with Adrian for 4 years, but I never imagined this was how it would begin. After it was over, I spent the entire night convincing myself, it's okay. It's all right. You like him, don't you? But I never expected that Adrian wouldn't remember a thing, which was for the best. It allowed me to continue telling myself that it wasn't an assault. I closed my eyes, and when I opened them again, there was only peace. Let's let the past be the past. Adrian, please stop disturbing my life. Okay. Adrian's mouth opened, his thoughts a tangled mess. What did you mean by that? I meant nothing. I have things to do. You should go. Adrian left. Before he went, he left me with one last sentence. I don't agree to the divorce. When I figure things out, I'll come find you again. I paid him no mind and began my new life of study in Australia. Without work, I had more time to spend with Leo. He gradually forgot the past unhappiness and made many new friends. During this time, I dated a few men, but I never wanted to get married. Adrian would also visit Leo in Australia from time to time, probably trying to mend their father-son relationship. After asking Leo, I didn't refuse his visits. He was Adrian's child. After all, I figured I might as well let my son benefit from his inheritance. Adrian might have remembered something too. For a while, he kept transferring money to me. When he came to see Leo, he would look at me with guilt in his eyes. I ignored him. If he offered money, I'd take it. But I didn't stop dating other people. He would only be a small interlude in my life, never affecting me again. So you see, the sky will always brighten. Even without the sun, it will brighten.